In this video, we'll be taking a look at 3 college football games happening on September 16, 2023, and providing you with free team picks and total picks for each one of those games. So 2 picks for each game, 6 picks in total. Welcome back to Cash Out Sports. Let's dive right into it. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe and to click the bell icon to get notified as soon as these videos get released, so that you have more time to plan out your bets as we provide these videos on a daily basis. I can guarantee that you'll have all the important information that you'll need on these 3 college football games after fully watching this video. One more thing before we start. If you would like to gain access to our best exclusive sports picks to take your journey to the next level, then check out our Patreon in the link down below, where we offer our best single picks, parlay picks, and much more. Now let's get started. San Diego State versus Oregon State. This week we have a fun matchup between the 16th-ranked Oregon State Beavers of the Pac-12 and the San Diego State Aztecs of the Mountain West Conference. Although both teams come into this game with winning records, the strength of these teams doesn't line up as closely. The San Diego State Aztecs are always a competitive squad propelled by the defense. They were able to beat Ohio in the opener by holding them to 13 points. I mentioned that because Ohio is one of the favorites to win the Mid-American Conference this year. Oregon State is obviously a strong team this year, but this will be the best squad they have seen early this season. The Beavers both last year and in their first 2 games this season have been very good on both sides of the ball. Against another ranked Pac-12 opponent last week, San Diego State couldn't cover the 24.5-point spread at home versus UCLA. This is a rare spot for the Oregon State Beavers, as they're ranked and favorites of 21 or more points for just the 5th time since 2017. It's also a possible look-ahead spot for the Beavers, with a ranked Washington State and Utah on deck. With that said, San Diego State is a one-man offense, as it relies heavily on Maiden to do everything, and it's still 116th in total offense and 109th in scoring offense. And while Maiden is a playmaker, he has been sacked 4 times and has thrown 3 picks. I just don't see how the San Diego State Aztecs find enough production offensively to hang around here. I think Oregon State is better on both ends of the field than UCLA. Oregon State is the far better team in this matchup, and I expect them to win easily at home against the Aztecs. So the Oregon State Beavers to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. The Aztecs have an experienced offense led by quarterback Jalen Maiden, who can run. He already has a 100-yard rushing performance on the season and a total of 184 rushing yards. In addition, Oregon State has a prolific offense that has scored a remarkable 97 points in just 2 games, albeit against weak opposition. DJ Uiagalelei, who was Clemson's quarterback last season, is dominating so far, connecting on 73% of his passes. His success will continue as San Diego State ranks 118th in pass defense after 2 games, after squandering 296 passing yards against UCLA last week. Oregon State also has a dynamic running game that is averaging over 230 rushing yards per game. Oregon State's offense has been very good, scoring 55 points and 42 points on their own in their 2 games this season, and last year they ranked 38 offensively in the nation, averaging 32 points per game. I could see the Beavers coming close to covering this total on their own, but expect the Aztecs to score at least 7 to 10 points on their own to help push the score past the total. The over is 4-1 in the Beavers' last 5 regular season games. I expect plenty of scoring in this one. Over the projected total is our full game total pick. Oklahoma versus Tulsa. This Saturday afternoon matchup features the 19th-ranked Oklahoma Sooners traveling to take on the Tulsa Golden Hurricane at home. Oklahoma handled Arkansas State and SMU for their first 2 wins of the season and will look to make it 3 in another cupcake game against Tulsa. The Golden Hurricanes split their first 2 games with a win against Pine Bluff and a loss against number 8 Washington, but will look to pull off a possible upset at home this game. The Oklahoma Sooners will travel away from Gaylord Family Oklahoma Memorial Stadium for the first time this season, as they are set to take on the Tulsa Golden Hurricane. Oklahoma is coming off a win against a SMU team that put up a strong fight in Norman last weekend. Oklahoma surrendered a touchdown pass in the 4th quarter to SMU that shrunk the Sooners' lead to just 3. The Sooners' offense woke up shortly after as they scored a quick 14 unanswered to secure a 28-11 victory and show what this offense is capable of in short order. This Oklahoma team was a team I had circled at the beginning of the 2023 season. Head coach Brett Venables has this team playing the full 60 minutes. We saw this in Week 1 against Arkansas when the Sooners continued to score in a 73-0 win. This is a great spot for the Sooners offense to light up the scoreboard again against a Tulsa defense that allowed 563 yards of total offense last week against Washington and has an SP Plus ranking of 123rd defensively. Quarterback Dylan Gabriel, who is off to an incredibly efficient start, should be able to move the ball with ease against a defense that allowed Washington quarterback Michael Penix Jr. to throw for 403 yards the previous game. Tulsa is outmatched in this game. It is still in question who will start for the Golden Hurricane at quarterback, as Braylon Braxton and Cardell Williams are listed as questionable with injuries. If both quarterbacks are ruled out for Saturday's game, third-string quarterback Roman Fuller will most likely get the start. I have a hard time seeing Fuller have much success against a revamped Sooner defense that has only allowed 11 points to start this season. Despite Venable's claim that he was pleased with the team's gritty win over SMU last Saturday, I think the second-year head coach is trying to create a swagger with the Sooners this season following last year's 6-7 season. In the opener, the Sooners showed no signs of let-up in a 73-0 win over Arkansas State. This week, Venable's Sooners get a crack at a Tulsa team that has multiple injuries to the team's most important position, quarterback. While Fuller was serviceable against Washington in an emergency role, Wilson will certainly feel more comfortable at either of the injuries to his top two quarterbacks' heels in time for this matchup. Of the two, Williams seems more likely to return with a hand injury. Williams also likely presents the best chance for Tulsa against the Sooners' fast defense with his ability to both run and throw. Unfortunately, Tulsa does not have anyone ready to step in defensively that can slow down the Oklahoma passing attack. Tulsa allowed the Huskies to throw for 454 yards in last week's game, and Sooners quarterback Gabriel also has the tools to carve up the Golden Hurricane defense. The Sooners have covered their spread in each of their first two games and have proven they can do so against big spreads with their 73-0 win against Arkansas State. Tulsa allowed Washington to total of 43 points and over 550 yards of total offense in their previous game, so expect the Sooners to do something similar. There should be plenty of offense for the Sooners, but their defense will be what helps them most in this one. Oklahoma has allowed only 11 points in their first two games, and the defense has looked dominant. Pair that with a Tulsa offense that has struggled to move the ball downfield, and we shouldn't see too much action for the Golden Hurricanes on offense. Tulsa scored only 10 points against Washington, whose defense is similar, if not worse than Oklahoma's. I fully expect a highly motivated Oklahoma team to dominate Tulsa on the road. Don't expect Venable to let up on Saturday afternoon. Look to take the Sooners in this road game that should see plenty of road-tripping Sooners fans in attendance, and expect another dominant win from the Sooners as they look to improve their record to 3-0 and climb in the rankings. So the Oklahoma Sooners to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. The Sooners showed when up big they want to run the ball and rely on the run game to move the sticks and drain the clock. Tulsa has also shown that one of their only strengths is in the run game, where they had three different backs run for over 50 yards last game. With both teams running the ball frequently, this will play a toll on the clock. This Tulsa offense totaled just 10 points in their previous game and struggled to move the ball against a similar defense to Oklahoma and Washington. If the Golden Hurricanes struggle to move the chains and capitalize in the red zone, this game will likely go over. Oklahoma will likely score over 40 points in this game, but Tulsa, with so many injuries at the quarterback position, doesn't look capable of getting to the 20-point total in this matchup. They were shut down by a Washington team not known for its defensive prowess, scoring a field goal in the first quarter and then a meaningless touchdown late in the game. While understanding the level of competition thus far, the Sooners' defense does look improved through 2 weeks of the season. They have allowed just 11 points thus far and should be able to keep Tulsa in check with the Golden Hurricanes' uncertainty at quarterback. Oklahoma's offense has struggled at times, particularly in their most recent game against SMU, and if they repeat that performance, this game will go under easily. There is no doubt that Oklahoma is going to score early and often this game, but they likely won't cover a 60.5-point total themselves. Despite scoring 73 points in Week 1, I don't expect the Sooners to get over this total in Week 3. Under the projected total is our full game total pick. South Carolina versus Georgia. The South Carolina Gamecocks and the Georgia Bulldogs meet Saturday in college football action from Sanford Stadium. South Carolina enters this one after last weekend's matchup versus Furman. In that outing, the Gamecocks took a blowout victory. As for Georgia, they played Ball State last Saturday. The Bulldogs ended up winning in blowout fashion as well. In some ways, we still don't know a lot about Georgia because they have yet to play an opponent that gives us any kind of measurement. That also makes this number a really tough one. This Georgia Georgia better? By far. Will they win this game? Very likely. Will they win by 4 touchdowns? That may be much less certain. There are a few key things to know in this game. First, South Carolina has an offensive line problem. They gave up 9 sacks to North Carolina in the opener, and while things happened in Week 1, we expected the line to be a liability this season for the Gamecocks. That also means they struggle to run the football, and if you can't run the football against Georgia, things get out of hand quickly. Expect to see the front 4 of Georgia dominate this game. For South Carolina to keep up, Spencer Rattler is going to have to take a lot of shorter, quicker throws rather than pushing the ball down the field, and getting it down the field is what makes him so special. On the other side, the South Carolina defense is not a great unit either. We aren't totally sure what Georgia is offensively in the post-Stetson Bennett era, but I have a suspicion that we haven't seen their offense really push hard yet. They have started slow in the first 2 games, and if it happens again this week, the cover might be hard. But I expect they will come out more aggressively early on, putting this game in their rearview quickly. These 2 teams met last year in South Carolina, and the Bulldogs rolled to a 48-7 victory. While some of the players on both sides have changed, the biggest concern for South Carolina is their ability to protect quarterback Rattler. The team's banged-up offensive line allowed 9 sacks against North Carolina in the opener, and the Tar Heels' defense is not on par with the Bulldogs. Georgia can be susceptible to the pass, but for a team to be successful, they have to keep the Bulldogs out of the backfield. Georgia's offense is still a work in progress, but they will not be tested against South Carolina's mediocre unit. I expect Georgia to move the ball up and down the field against a defense that was pushed around by North Carolina's offensive line in Week 1. This is a tough Southeastern Conference opener for the Gamecocks, particularly on the road against the nation's best team. Georgia will pull away in the second half and handle this 4-touchdown spread. So the Georgia Bulldogs to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. This is a tricky total heading into this opening Southeastern Conference matchup for both teams. The Bulldogs have run up an average of nearly 47 points in the first 2 games of the season. Meanwhile, the Gamecocks poured in 47 this week against a vastly inferior Furman team, but were held to 17 in Week 1. Last season, the 2 teams combined for 55 points, with the Bulldogs piling on 48 points. I like South Carolina to do slightly more damage in the point department this time around, with Rattler playing his best football over the course of his last 5 games. He won't approach 4 scores in this game, but he will do just enough damage. Building off of the theory above, we may see the Gamecocks get a score or 2 early. If they can force a turnover from the inexperienced back, they may be able to shock the Bulldogs out of the gate. However, I expect reality to kick in at some point. Georgia is a perennial powerhouse at this point, and we should see them put up plenty of points as the game goes on. Both teams are averaging north of 460 offensive yards per game, while South Carolina is giving up 380 yards per contest. Look for Georgia to pull away late, but we should see this experienced South Carolina offense put up points as well. The over is 4-1 in South Carolina's last 5 games, and it has cashed in 12 of their last 15 road contests. Over the projected total is our full game total pick. That's all for now, so if you have any other games you would like reviewed, then leave a comment down below with the game you would like analyzed. Subscribe to our channel, leave a like on this video, and we'll get to it as soon as we possibly can. We would also love to hear your opinion on the picks presented to you in this video, whether you agree or disagree with them, so leave a comment down below and do let us know.